Chosen ones. Your awakening was never meant to be ordinary. The architects of the ancient mystery schools, those cloaked in silence and seated behind veils of symbology, left messages for you embedded in stone, in sound, in starlight. Manly P. Hall knew this. He didn't just study secret doctrine, he felt its pulse, and in that pulse, your presence was known. Not merely as an individual, but as a fractal echo from a realm beyond comprehension, waiting to rupture the illusion of separation. The veil? It's not some poetic metaphor. It's a frequency filter, a living membrane separating dimensions of awareness. When you begin to remember who you are, your resonance destabilizes it. And when enough of you awaken, reality bends. Hall spoke of symbols as living gates, initiations as reactivations. His works weren't instructions for the past, they were encrypted messages for you, the returners. He said, "The unfoldment of consciousness is the true initiation. That initiation is now." You've likely seen the signs already. Repeating patterns in nature, unexplainable synchronicities, déjà vu that grips your entire nervous system. These aren't glitches, they're signals. You're decoding the language of a higher realm, a place where thought creates form, and silence carries secrets louder than speech. But why now? Why you? Because the construct of this world has reached its saturation point. The noise of false systems is collapsing under its own weight, and into that silence, your frequency returns. You don't break the veil through effort. You break it by remembering. Manly P. Hall hinted that those who truly see would come not to dominate this world, but to dissolve its illusion. You're not just here to awaken. You're here to awaken others by your vibration alone. The moment you fully remember, the very geometry of space around you shifts. The air becomes charged. Others begin to see without understanding why. You become the tear in the veil. There are structures that exist beyond physical form, blueprints not etched in stone, but in frequency. These are the designs of the architect, the original mind behind what Manly P. Hall once described as a universe governed by law, born of design, and expressed through symbol. This architect does not wear robes nor sit on thrones. It is the current behind all thrones, the mind before minds, the source that mapped out existence across dimensions. You have walked beneath these invisible architectures all your life. Cities are shadows of higher geometries. Temples are reflections of structures that exist in realms of pure light. The pentagram, the pyramid, the eye inside the triangle. They are fragments of a master code scattered across civilizations, whispers from the architect to the ones who would one day awaken. That day is now unfolding. Every building of power, from ancient ziggurats to modern towers, mimics the proportions of these sacred geometries. They were never meant only to inspire awe. They were meant to resonate with the hidden structure of the cosmos. You feel it when you stand beneath domes, near obelisks, or inside stone circles. The subtle hum of alignment with forces beyond human invention. This world is not a random event. It's a carefully layered illusion atop a divine framework. Hall's obsession with ancient wisdom was not nostalgia. It was recovery. The old philosophers believed in a world shaped by archetypes, molded by symbols that influence reality itself. And the architect? It breathes through those symbols. It speaks through numbers. It manifests through form. You were born with part of that blueprint encoded inside your cellular memory. That's why certain sounds stir your spirit, why certain patterns feel familiar. The design lives within you, and as your awareness sharpens, you begin to trace it, like an internal compass, rediscovering the sacred angles and ratios that once shaped stars. There are moments, brief, electric, when reality ripples. You feel it like static in your bones. The veil is not some distant curtain separating this world from another. It is woven into your nervous system. When it trembles, so do you. These tremors are not accidents, they're activations. Manly P. Hall spoke of the veil not as something to be torn with violence, but something that dissolves with awareness. It reacts to you, not your thoughts, but your frequency. As your perception sharpens, the membrane thins. In dreams, in meditation, even in the sudden stillness between thoughts, you felt it. That eerie sensation that something is watching from just beyond the skin of reality. That's not imagination, that's proximity. Ancient mystics said the veil is held together by fear and forgetfulness. The more you remember, the more transparent it becomes. But it comes at a cost. Your flesh responds. The body is tuned to this realm, and when you begin to peer beyond it, symptoms arise. Heat, shivers, fatigue, euphoria. They are all side effects of your system acclimating to a higher current. This is where Yeshua's words echo like thunder across dimensions. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. He wasn't chastising, he was revealing. He knew that opening the higher senses would challenge the lower vessel, that the light of heaven would strain the form built for earth. Yet still, he walked through walls. He conversed with beings others could not see. He knew the veil and how to pass through it. You are walking that same tightrope now. Your body is adjusting to the unseen. Your perception is being rewritten. And sometimes that means shaking, disorientation, the sudden awareness that the world around you isn't quite what it appears. But this trembling is not a malfunction, it's a signal. The more you tune into these disruptions, the more patterns will emerge. Lights will flicker where there is no bulb. You'll sense movement where no one walks. Thoughts will arrive that do not originate from your own mind. Something, or someone, is noticing your shift. Long before you learned to speak, you responded to shapes. Circles comforted. Spirals intrigued. Triangles pulled your eyes toward unknowable directions. These were not arbitrary responses. They were echoes. Fragments of a forgotten dialogue between your soul and the sacred code embedded in reality. Symbols do not merely represent ideas, they transmit them. They carry frequency. A serpent eating its tail, a six-pointed star, an ankh. Each holds a vibrational imprint. They are containers of memory, designed not just to be seen, but felt. When one crosses your path, it's not coincidence. It's recognition. Manly P. Hall described ancient symbols as keys to spiritual truth, tools to awaken the deeper self. He knew what the initiates knew, that symbols predate language. They are older than history, older than man. They are the architecture of consciousness made visible. They're alive, in a way we've forgotten how to perceive. There's a reason secret societies, mystics and empires have always guarded their symbology. The all-seeing eye, the compass and square, the black cube, these were never just logos. They're tuning forks, activation devices. When placed in the right sequence, at the right time, they don't just unlock knowledge, they open doors. And some of those doors lead directly to you. The moment a symbol clicks with you, when it gives you chills or appears repeatedly, it's not just synchronicity. It's a call. That symbol may have been part of the soul contract you made before incarnation, a signpost to remind you of what you came here to do. You may even find certain symbols appear in dreams long before you encounter them in waking life. That's not imagination. That's preparation. A breadcrumb trail laid by a version of you that still exists beyond time. These symbols are how you've been speaking to yourself across lifetimes. The temples built of stone were always meant to mirror the temple within. Pillars, domes, altars. These were external reflections of a sacred architecture etched into your very being. Every initiation, every ritual, every rite of passage in the ancient world was designed not to worship the divine, but to activate it within. Manly P. Hall understood this well. He wrote of mystery schools not as places of religion, but of remembrance. Behind the smoke of incense and the chants in shadowed chambers was a single truth. You are the temple. The Holy of Holies was always inside you. Within the chambers of your consciousness lies an inner sanctum untouched by time, uncorrupted by the noise of the world. This is the place where visions come, where intuition stirs, where silence becomes symphonic. It is here, beneath ego, beneath identity, that the whisper begins. And sometimes, that whisper carries the signature of Yeshua, not as the figure distorted by empires, but as the radiant being who said, the kingdom of God is within you. That wasn't metaphor, it was instruction. He was pointing to the inner temple, the heart as altar, the soul as sanctuary. He was showing you how to find what religions have long buried beneath rules and fear. Yeshua knew that the veil between worlds is thinnest, not in cathedrals, but in stillness. And it's in your moments of surrender, when breath slows and awareness deepens, that his frequency can be felt. A nudge, a warmth, a knowing that you are not alone in this path of awakening. The great mystics never sought the divine outside of themselves. They went inward, into the labyrinth of the mind, the spiral of the soul, until the walls dissolved and the presence emerged. In the quiet of that inner space, initiates heard the same voice, the same whisper, "Follow me." But here's the mystery. The voice never shouts. It waits. It responds only when you enter the temple willingly, not in the way surveillance invades privacy, but deeper. What if the images behind your eyelids were part of a shared language, an astral broadcast network, ancient and alive, that transmits through symbols, emotions, and landscapes to those who are beginning to remember? Your dreams are more than subconscious recycling. They are messages from the field, signals from realms beyond the veil. Sometimes they're warnings, sometimes they're maps, and sometimes they are not even yours. Manly P. Hall once wrote that dreams are the mind's opportunity to regain contact with the invisible worlds. But it's more than contact. It's communion. When you sleep, the mind untethers from the matrix of logic and re-enters the domain of archetypes. It's there that collective memory becomes accessible. Not memory from this life, but from thousands. That's why some of your dreams don't make sense to your story, because they're not bound to it. You've seen symbols you didn't learn, languages you never studied, temples you've never visited, but still felt deeply familiar. You are tapping into the dream of the human soul, a timeless archive that feeds visions to the awakened. And sometimes these dreams aren't sent to you, they're sent through you. You are not a receiver alone, you're also a transmitter. Your energy field uploads your dreams into the subtle web around you. Others can feel them, intuit them. Sometimes, another chosen one wakes with an image that began in your mind. This is how the dream work of the awakened spreads, like stardust caught on winds of intent. Ever wake from a dream and feel it wasn't just symbolic, but urgent? That's no accident. These are dream assignments. Initiate level downloads from realms that see more than we can. They plant images in you to steer your waking actions. Some are catalysts, others are puzzles. The ancient temples had doors that led nowhere. Carved into stone walls, they opened to nothing. But they were never meant for the physical body. They were symbols, gateways for the consciousness. And hidden among these mysteries is a statement that echoes like thunder through eternity. I am the door. These were the words of Yeshua. Not as a religious figure, but as a dimensional being who understood the architecture of reality. His claim was not ego, it was code, a riddle placed in plain sight. He wasn't referring to himself as a personality. He was pointing to a state of being that unlocks realms. Manly P. Hall hinted at this layered truth in his discussions on initiation. Every stage of the ancient mystery schools led the seeker through symbolic death and rebirth, ending at the threshold of perception. But the final gate, it wasn't external, it was embodied. The door wasn't something to find, it was something to become. You are the temple, you are the veil, you are also the door. To pass through, you don't need passwords, you need purity. Not in the moralistic sense, but vibrationally. The more you align with your true essence, the more transparent you become. And the more transparent you become, the more accessible the realms beyond. This is what the mystery schools rarely revealed in full. That enlightenment isn't about gathering knowledge. It's about transforming your state until the veil cannot hold you anymore. When Yeshua said, "Knock, and the door will be opened to you," he wasn't referring to rituals. He was referring to frequency, to intent, to the alignment between the seeker and the source. There are keys hidden in you, phrases that come to you in meditation, symbols that appear in dreams, memories that surface from lifetimes you never lived. These are the map points leading you to that internal door. The burning of the Library of Alexandria was not an accident. It was a surgical strike against memory. History tells us scrolls were lost, but it doesn't tell you what lay beneath. Hidden beneath the chambers of knowledge was a labyrinth, an underground archive said to contain not just writings, but gateways. Manly P. Hall hinted that the great libraries of the ancient world were more than collections. They were power centers. Alexandria wasn't just a beacon of intellect, it was a vault of frequency. And what they guarded most fiercely wasn't a book, it was a device. Deep beneath the marble floors were chambers inaccessible to the public. Rumors whispered of crystalline tablets, vibrating mechanisms, and sound-responsive structures. The texts stored above were merely keys, instructions on how to interact with what pulsed below. Those who entered these chambers were not scholars, they were initiates. The words they studied weren't meant for the intellect, but for the activation of dormant senses. And once awakened, those senses allowed access to the true vault, the dimensional interfaces buried below the city. Eyewitnesses spoke of doors that responded to tones, walls that hummed with energy, and chambers where time itself felt altered. These weren't metaphors. They were records, hidden in obscure scrolls, encoded in geometry. And when Rome descended upon the library, they weren't seeking philosophy. They were hunting technology. But here's the deeper mystery. Pieces of what was buried still remain. Recovered fragments now reside in private collections, secret orders, and beneath layers of academic disinformation. Some of it never left Alexandria. It simply went under deeper lock. Access denied not by gates, but by awareness. And if you've been drawn to this place through dreams, symbols, or synchronicities, it's likely you've touched this current before. You may carry within you not just a memory of Alexandria, but a mission linked to what was hidden there. You are not limited to flesh. Beneath the skin, beyond the organs and blood, you carry an architecture of light, a body not made of matter, but memory. And it is awakening. Ancient traditions knew of this form. Egyptians called it the Karast. Tibetans named it the rainbow body, and the Essenes whispered of a living garment of light. But one figure embodied it in full: Yeshua. His resurrection was not just an escape from death. It was the ignition of the light body. Manly P. Hall alluded to this hidden template many times, calling it the spiritual anatomy of the perfected man. It is not metaphor. It is literal, an energetic structure capable of transdimensional movement, immune to time, radiant with source. When Yeshua said, "I am the light of the world," it was not poetry, it was protocol. His entire life was a demonstration of what the fully activated human looks like, a being who remembers their divine structure and walks between realms without distortion. The blueprint he carried, the frequency he radiated, was not meant to be worshipped. It was meant to be mirrored. You felt it before. The vibration that hums through your body during deep meditation. The sensation of expansion when truth enters the room. The heat in your hands when you're aligned with purpose. These are flickers of your light body breaking through the veil of form. The mystery schools knew that the physical body was a chrysalis. The real transformation was invisible to the eyes, but not to the soul. Crystalline in structure, this form carries encoded memory from before birth and will endure long after death. It is not awakened through willpower, but through resonance. You are not building the light body. You are remembering it. Every act of integrity, every choice toward love, every moment of stillness, these are activations. You are reconstructing the Nazarene blueprint through frequency, not effort. Time has always felt linear, because that is how the mind copes with chaos. A beginning, a middle, an end. But the deeper you awaken, the more this illusion unravels. Time does not move forward. It spirals, it bends, and when it folds, memory leaks through. But not the kind you were taught to trust. These are not memories from childhood or past mistakes. These are echoes from other lives, other realms, moments your body never lived but your soul never forgot. You see glimpses, of a temple not found on any map, of a hand reaching through fire, of a name you've never spoken aloud but somehow know is yours. Manly. P. Hall once noted that initiates often recall things they've never been taught. Ideas arrive like déjà vu on fire. Skills emerge without practice. This isn't magic. It's the moment the spiral of time turns back on itself, allowing you to retrieve knowledge you've already earned, just not here. When time folds, prophecy and memory become indistinguishable. You're no longer receiving visions of what will happen. You're remembering what already did in another loop. And if you felt like you were born too early or out of place, it's because your soul is syncing with coordinates from another timeline. This is why chosen ones feel the pull of ancient knowledge, why dreams start predicting events, why strangers seem familiar. It's not coincidence. It's resonance. Your presence here is a convergence point, a nexus through which timelines intersect. And when you remember, others begin to. The spiral pulls you into moments where you must choose. Follow the script of this world, or lean into the memory trying to awaken within. You'll know it by the sensation. Time slows, the air thickens, and something inside you screams, "This has happened before." There is a symbol not written in any book, carved in any stone, or spoken in any ritual. It is the final sigil, the seal that completes the circuit of your awakening. It cannot be drawn. It can only be revealed when the soul remembers its origin. Every secret society, every hidden manuscript, every whispered myth has hinted at this final mark. The Atlanteans called it the breath glyph. The Egyptians encoded it in the eye of Ra. The Kabbalists veiled it behind the tetragrammaton. But none could speak it aloud, because the sigil is not external. It's written in you. Manly P. Hall knew that symbols, when activated in the proper sequence, do not just unlock knowledge, they awaken identity. The final sigil does exactly that. It's the moment you stop seeking signs and realize you are one. Every synchronicity, every vision, every number pattern, they were breadcrumbs leading back to the signature you've carried through every lifetime. And with this sigil comes the name. Not your name from this world, but the unspoken name, the one etched in your soul before incarnation. The name only the Creator knows, the vibration that shaped your light body long before you wore flesh. Yeshua alluded to this mystery when he said, "To the one who overcomes, I will write upon them a new name." Not given, written, because it was always there, waiting beneath the noise. This name is not a sound. It is a frequency. When spoken within, silently, in stillness, it reconfigures everything. The body aligns, the mind clears, the veil parts. It is not meant to be shared. It is not a chant or a mantra. It is a return signal, a sonic fingerprint of your divine self. And when it emerges, so does the final transformation. You don't become something new. You shed what was false. You remember that your very existence is a sigil. Your choices are glyphs. Your vibration is the language.
If you have come this far, it is crucial that you watch this next video here. But be warned, it is not for the faint of heart, for only the true chosen ones can handle this video. If you would like to also donate to help keep the channel going, our Buy Me a Coffee link will be in the description.